Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Yoga Church Digital. We're so grateful that you could join with us this morning. We're here in the safety of our spaces to join you in the safety wherever you are, and to have a time of pause and rest and reflection, and really to engage in this spiritual practice that hopefully will bring peace and meaning to your life this morning. So, hey, we invite you to share this with friends. You can send a link out. Those of you who are joining on YouTube, you can text that link, email it. Those of you who are on Facebook with us, you can just share this on your feed. Let everybody know that Yoga Church is going down, so that they can join into this time. And we'd love for you to post in the comment section who you are and where you are and how you're doing. And we know lots of folks join whenever you can throughout the week. And so we also welcome you to those of you who join with us whenever you can. And welcome to everybody who's here with us live. So I wanted to give a quick little devotional from the Christian scriptures. And don't worry if you're not a Christian, don't feel intimidated or threatened by this. This is Karen and I are both coming from the perspective of people who are in the Christian path of spirituality, but this is open for anybody who wants to join, and no matter where you are, spiritual but not religious, or no religion, or wherever you are in that spectrum, we're just glad that you're with us. And the thing I wanted to focus in on this morning, it's from the last book in the Bible, called the Book of Revelation. Whenever people start talking about Revelation, I get a little nervous, right? Because there's some crazy things happening, and some people read it like the end of the world. It's all happening, and it's always about the United States. Somehow is in the center of every story. But what I wanted to focus in on is just some hopeful imagery that we find here. And C.S. Lewis, he's a prolific author. He wrote lots of books. You may be familiar with The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, his space trilogy. There's lots of books. He wrote over 30 books that were translated in many different languages. And we've been kind of just studying him and his writings. And I was looking at The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe a little bit, and just the fascinating imagery that's in there. And when I was a kid, we used to read that book and like elementary school. Anybody out there read Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe? If you can resonate with that, press amen or give me a thumbs up. And I didn't realize it at the time, but what actually C.S. Lewis is doing, and he's taking Christian imagery and putting that in the books. And so in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, there's this image of the lion, Aslan, who is kind of the king of Narnia, if you will. And so when I look at the book of Revelation, there's some imagery there about Jesus. And so we get this we can see into the throne room kind of thing. And we can see what's happening in God's, the control center of the universe, if you will, or God's kind of throne space. And what we see there is the image of Jesus as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So the imagery is that Jesus is a lion. And I love the imagery. I love lions in general. Like they're, I think, the coolest animal in the animal world, right? They're this apex species. They're keystone species. They're, majestic and beautiful and all of that. And so that imagery fulfills lots of things that the Old Testament said about Jesus, that he would come from the root of Jesse, from the lineage of David, that he would be a Messiah king who would fulfill all of that he would be this regal, royal manifestation of God in the world. And so Jesus fulfills that. So here's this image of, power and might and royalty. But then the very next image that we see right after that is the image of a slain lamb. So there's this lamb that's wounded. It's covered in blood. And if you think about it, those are really two kind of very different images, right? It's almost a paradox that a lion and a lamb. The lion's this big, strong animal, king of the jungle. Lambs are this very docile and very not able to defend themselves. When you think of like vulnerable, dependent on the shepherd, it's the lamb, right? And somehow in Jesus, there's this lion of the tribe of Judah, and there's this lamb, the slain lamb that's still standing. And both are images of Jesus. And I know sometimes some of us who are newer to the faith, or we're just exploring our faith, or we have these images of God as this kind of angry, punishing, monarchical kind of image of God. And that's there biblically. There's this image of a powerful God, an all-powerful God who's sovereign over everything. But then there's this other image of God that is a God that's with us, a God that's vulnerable, a God that dies on the cross, a God that comes and lives with us so we can touch and see and wound this God who's ultimately revealed to us fully on the cross. That's God too. So when we think about God, God really transcends all of our boxes and all of our ways that we try to fit God in a neat little package. And what we see in Jesus is a God who is embodied and enfleshed, a God who is both lion and the lamb, a God who is both of those things and many more. And so I hope that brings you some reassurance and some peace that, yes, God's the lion, but God's also the lamb, and God is gentle and loving and graceful and wants to be in a relationship with us. And there's many different spiritual practices out there. I think in Christian spirituality, the focus is to connect with a higher power, to connect with God, to connect with Jesus. And that can happen through prayer and meditation and exercise and study and worship and serving others, acts of mercy, acts of justice. All of those are parts of our spirituality. But yoga is also a way that we connect with God. We worship, we pray, whatever that God is to us, or wherever we are in that spiritual path. It's a way for us to pause, to go through these motions together with our bodies and our minds and our souls, and to really experience that God that is love, that is gentle, that is grace, and to commune with that God. So that's going to be my focus during the practice today. And I hope that's helpful for anybody out there, that maybe as you take this time, it's time to kind of empty ourselves, quiet our minds, and seek to be in communion with God and whatever that means for us. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen now. So thankful for her, and thank you everybody for joining with us.
All right, well, welcome to yoga on Friday morning. Let us begin with the heart of yoga, which is breath. So let's just close our eyes and begin to just breathe. Breathing in through the nose and maybe exhaling through the mouth, which is a more healing breath. It's a more purifying breath, renewing the old air for new air. Let us just breathe and clear our minds of any negativity, anything that gives us expectations that could let us down. Just clear our minds and open up some space in our mind and listen to our soul, to our spirit, and maybe we can come up with an intention for our practice today. On the next breath, let's return to our normal breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Opening your eyes, taking your arms out long with your palms up. Inhale to float the hands up and exhale, hands over, heart center, and namaste. Inhale to float the hands up. We start this way just to bring some warmth and energy into our being, into our mind, into our body, into our spirit, into our breath. Inhale and exhale. One more big stretch. Reach your arms out as long as you can as we go into some side stretches, taking the left palm up and over. Reaching over, reaching up for strength and over for flexibility. Once again, we're just warming up the upper body. Inhale and exhale. And know that this is really your practice. So you should only do moves that feel good for your body. So if I'm doing something that doesn't feel right, or maybe it's just too challenging, or you just don't even like it, it's okay to do whatever you want, because it really is your practice, and it is important that you only move in ways that feel good for your body. Inhale and exhale. One more big side stretch. Reach up high and reach up all the way, reaching the fingers out long to the side, and rest your hands by your side. Let's go into some shoulder shrugs with breath. Inhale up and exhale down. So feel the shoulder blades move as you inhale up and exhale down. Inhale and exhale, releasing any tension in the neck or the shoulders or the upper back. Inhale and exhale, taking it into big shoulder rolls to the back. Inhaling and exhaling, keeping your heart lifted, keeping your gaze lifted, and slow, big circles, letting your breath guide your movement through your practice today. Inhale and exhale. Let's rest our shoulders down away from our ears. Grow as tall as you can as you let your left ear fall towards your left shoulder with a heavy head. Inhale. And on the exhale, going to lift it back up, only to look over the right shoulder with breath. Inhale. And exhale, come back to the center, go a little bit taller, and we'll let the right earlobe fall towards the right shoulder with a heavy head. Inhale. On the exhale, come on back to the center and slowly look over the left shoulder. Inhale and exhale. So it's important that we bend our knees as we go into some upper body circles. So maybe folded legs that's not comfortable for you. You can just take your feet out in front as long as you have a little bend in your knees to protect your spine, and start with some upper body circles, moving slow and gradually increasing the size of the circle. So we want to warm up the spine before we go into some of these yoga poses that can be quite challenging for the whole body, the core, the back, the legs, your whole body. So we just try to warm up first. And this just kind of releases any tension in the back. Inhaling and exhaling with each big upper body circle. Maybe lift your heart as you come forward. Maybe round your spine as you go to the back. Go as slow as your breath guides you. And know that the slower you move the joints in your body, the more tension that you release. Let us switch directions of our circles. Remember to start small and gradually just warm up that spine, inviting mobility into the spine. Inhaling and exhaling with each big circle. Let us come up to tall spine and go into a seated cat and cow. So we'll go into cow first. So you're just going to press your chest through, lift your heart, lift your gaze, and inhale, filling the lungs up with air. On the exhale, nod your chin and begin to round back like an angry cat. Inhale to hinge forward, pressing the chest through, filling the lungs up with air. And exhale into seated cat. Inhale. And exhale. And one more set. Inhale. And exhale. and come up to tall spine. Let's go ahead and bend the left knee and straighten the right leg and go into some spinal rotation. Once again, just warming up that spine. We can actually use our right arm around that left knee to get taller. You want to be tall before you rotate. And then take that left hand around to the back of your mat and lift your heart and lift your gaze. And note that the deeper you can inhale here, the more you will stretch the lung, the rib cage, and the thoracic spine, releasing any tension in the thoracic spine. So let us inhale as deep as you can. On the next breath, slowly come around and just drop that knee to the side. We're going to go into a half staff pose today. So we want to ground our right leg by pointing our toes up to the ceiling. Pull your belly into your spine. Maybe you just stay here. If you want a little bit more, you can reach your fingers up towards the ceiling and hinge 2 or 3 inches as you continue to reach. And just pause, breathing 3 breaths here. Feeling the energy flow through your fingertips and through the sole of your right foot. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, maybe you go into a forward fold, reaching for the sides of your feet, letting your spine remain long instead of rounded. So you're still growing through the crown of the head and you're pressing your chest towards your knee. And breathe. Inhale and exhale, let's roll the spine up, articulating the spine, stacking one vertebra on top of the other at a time as we lift up that left foot and bring it towards the right hip, stacking the knees. This is called half cow face. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can go into a full cow face just by swinging that right heel back by the left hip. So both knees are stacked. Now we can even go deeper here if you think you want more. You can take your fingers and slowly spider walk them away from your body. Just a little bit, go slow and try not to be too aggressive when you're stretching. And then maybe you just drop the heels of your hands, let your elbows float towards the earth, and let your nose float towards your top knee, and breathe 3 breaths here. On the next breath, go ahead and walk your hands back in and lift your heart. Sit nice and tall. We can do one more stretch here. Floating your hands into prayer hands above the crown of your head and an upward salute pose. Only to drop your hands behind your head, supporting your head and gazing up towards the ceiling as you squeeze your elbows towards each other and up towards the ceiling. And breathe. 2 breaths here. On the next breath, bring your chin back to the center, reach your hands up, float them down behind your back, and lean back, straightening your legs, keeping the left leg on top of the right leg for a cross leg staff pose with a twist. Float the arms out in front of the shoulders, reaching the arms long, cross the arms, flip the hands, let them drop. Tuck your chin, look at your belly, and slowly slide your hands only as far as it feels good for you. If you're someone that can grab the arches of your feet, it can help you stretch a little more as you pull your elbows away from each other, letting the nose float towards that top knee. Once again, growing through the spine and the crown of the head, elongating through the spine, and breathe. On the next breath, let's roll that spine back up, articulating it, stacking one vertebra on top of the other at a time. Uncross your legs and go on and pull that right knee in for spinal rotation, grounding the left leg by pointing your left toes up to the ceiling, sitting tall, maybe even pulling the belly into the spine. Go on and take that left arm around that right knee to get even taller as you take your right hand around to the back of your mat. Lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, and remembering to breathe so deep that you feel that stretch in the thoracic spine, the lung, and the rib cage. On the next breath, slowly come around to the center and just drop that right knee for half staff pose. Maybe you just stay here, growing tall through the crown of the head, or join me for a little bit more, floating your fingertips up towards the ceiling. And with a long spine, hinging 2 or 3 inches, pausing there. Remember to keep the toes pointed up to the ceiling. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can go into a forward fold, letting the nose float towards the knee, elongating through the spine, pressing the chest towards the knee, and breathe. On the next breath, go on and roll the spine up, articulating the spine, lifting the chin last. As we pick up the right foot and bring the right heel towards the left knee, trying to stack the knees for half cow face. Maybe you stay here. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can go on and swing that left heel back by the right hip. Both knees are stacked, sit nice and tall. Maybe this is enough stretch for you. You're going to feel it in that right piriformis buttock. Or maybe you want to go a little bit deeper, spider walk your fingers away from your body. Remember to go slow and listen to your body. Then drop the heels of the hands and let the elbows float towards the earth as your nose floats towards that top knee. And breathe. 3 breaths here. On the next breath, let's go on and articulate the spine back to tall spine, and we can go into another wonderful stretch, floating the hands all the way up towards ceiling in prayer hands. This is called upward salute. And then drop your hands behind your head, squeeze in your elbows up to the ceiling and towards each other as you slowly gaze up to the ceiling. Remember to support your head with your hands behind your head, and breathe 2 breaths here. On the next breath, going to bring the hands back up to the ceiling, float them behind your hips, lean back and straighten the legs, but keep them crossed for our cross leg staff pose. Floating the arms out long, long arms, reaching with your arms, cross your arms, flip your hands and drop them. Be sure to nod your chin and look at your belly as you slowly slide your hands towards your feet, only going as far as it feels good for your body. If you can grab the arches of your feet, then you can pull the elbows softly and slowly away from each other as your nose comes a little closer to that top knee. Remember to stay long through the spine here and breathe. On the next breath, let's roll the spine up, nice and slow, listening to your body, working with your spine. Uncross your legs as we go into seated butterfly or cobra. I prefer butterfly. I like the vision of a butterfly instead of a cobra. Now, if you have back issues, keep your feet away, or if you can, go on and pull them in a little bit closer, whatever feels good for you. Now, the closer you can get, maybe the more stretch you'll get. Grab hold of your ankles or your knees or your shins, whatever feels good. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, hinge forward with a long spine, floating the elbows over the inner knees. And then as you gently press the knees towards the earth, nod your chin and let your nose fall towards your toes. And as you gently press the knees towards the earth, you'll feel an opening up of the lower back. Relax the shoulders and breathe 3 breaths here. Inhale on the exhale, go on and roll the spine back up. Take the knees together, come onto your hands and knees, and we're going to drop into a child's pose, traditional. So the big toes come together, the knees are apart. You're going to drop your buttocks to your heels, drop your forehead. Maybe you have a pillow or a block where you just come right to the mat, and then take your hands back by your ankles with your palms up, and just let your elbows float towards the earth. Just let it go, let any tension go in that back, and breathe. On the next breath, slide your hands back out in front. Come back to your hands and knees, separating your knees, separating your feet, curling your toes under. We're going to move into crouch pose. So if this is not something for you, you can just go right back into your child's pose. So just roll back so that you are kind of like sitting on your heels. Your heels are up and you're on the balls of your feet. Go ahead and nod your chin and keep your heels up as you begin to straighten your legs. Up, 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 up. Gaze to your knees, inhale, and on the exhale, come on back down. Let's do that again. Inhale, and exhale. Shh. Inhale, go on and drop the heels and hang down in a forward fold with your knees floating towards your knees. Your arms are just hanging down like a rag doll. Inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to walk our hands away. So we're kind of doing the reverse of what we usually do. And come out into a downward dog. So in downward dog, your heels are up. You're pressing the earth away with the balls of your feet and the heels of your hands. If you have glaucoma or high blood pressure, it's probably better just to stay in that child's pose. If you're in downward dog, we can pedal, dropping the left heel, bending the right knee. Drop the right heel and bend the left knee and continue pedaling. Left, right, left, right. Both heels are pressing down, sits bones are pressing up, and you're pressing your chest toward your legs. Let us breathe here. Inhale and exhale. Go on and lift your heels up as high as you can so that you can drop your shoulders over your wrists. Maybe you walk your feet back just a little into a full plank. It's perfectly okay to drop your knees if you need support, or if you want a little more challenge, then just go on and lift your knees, separate your shoulders, transition your weight through your whole body in plank pose. And breathe. Try to pull your belly into your spine and be sure you're transitioning your weight through your whole body here. When you pull your belly into your spine, you'll feel that transition happen. And then we're going to slowly just lower our entire body down, all the way down. Uncurl the toes. Fingertips are in alignment with the shoulders as we move into cobra pose. Remember or know that your lower disc in your back will compress. So maybe you just lift an inch or two. Maybe your body allows you to lift a little bit higher. Try to keep your pelvis pressing into the mat if you're lifting up high. Elbows are squeezing into the rib cage to support the upper body. And breathe 3 breaths in cobra pose. From cobra pose, you can either push back into that child's pose or join me back up into downward dog, adjusting the feet as necessary and pedaling. Left heel, left, right. Both heels press down, sits bones press up. Feel that stretch down the legs, down the spine. And then lift the heels up, going back into plank. This time, maybe you roll over to your right into a nice side plank. Inhale and exhale. Windmill that hand back down as we drop into chaturanga, or maybe you go into cobra, what we just did. Chaturanga, you're just going to kind of push on the balls of your feet so you land your rib cage on your elbows. Maybe you can't hold it like I can't, and you drop back down into your cobra. Some pretty music playing. Let me see if I can get it going here. There we go. And then we'll push back either into child's pose or back into downward dog. If you're in downward dog, we can begin pedaling again. Left heel, left, right. Both heels pressing down. Lifting both heels, coming into plank, maybe side plank. This time rotating over to the other side. And breathe. We'll windmill that hand back down. This time we're going to go into up dog, or maybe you prefer cobra. Uncurl the toes and let the hip bones float towards the mat, but hover them. Lift your heart, lift your gaze, and breathe. From here, we can go into child's pose or back into your downward dog. Lifting the sits bones up and pedaling the heels, left heel, left, right. Both heels pressing down. We're going back into a center plank. So lift your heels back into your plank. Remember, you can always drop your knees. We're going to float up the left leg and swing through to land to the outside of your left wrist. And a deep runner's lunge, only to drop the back knee, uncurl the back toes, straddle your front foot, take your hands on top of your knees. So this is a progression. Maybe you stay here, maybe you float your hands up. Maybe you add a twist, dropping the right hand and rotating over to the left, looking up and reaching up with your left hand. And then float that hand back down. Now we can drop our elbows here if you want a little bit more, or not. You can keep your arms straight. Inhale. On the exhale, we're going to straddle that front foot. We're going to go right up into warriors, and then we'll come down and do everything on the other side. So curl your back toes under. Take your hands on top of your knee if you need support. Reach your arms up into crescent lunge. And then warrior one, turn your back foot to the side. Drop your left arm forward, right arm to the back. And peaceful warrior. Take it up and to the back. Inhale. On the exhale, back into warrior two. And to side angle, dropping that left elbow to that left thigh. Reaching your back hand up. Maybe you want more, you can go into extended side angle, sliding the left hand to the inside of your ankle. And then coming back into warrior two. To prepare for triangle, going to straighten out that left knee. Hinge your upper body forward, dropping your left hand either to your thigh or your shin, and floating your back hand up. Let's go on and windmill that top hand down as you turn your back foot forward, back into that deep runner's lunge. And then we're just going to lift our hips and step back into downward dog, or maybe you drop into that child's pose. And pedal once again. Left heel, right heel, left, right, both heels press down, both heels come up, back into plank. This time lifting the right foot, right leg, and swinging it through to the outside of the right hand or wrist, and your deep runner's lunge. Then we'll drop that back knee, uncurl that back toes, and then bring your hands up on top of your knee to assist you to lift your heart. Your hip flexors should be getting a good stretch here if you're pressing forward. Float the hands up and to kneeling crescent lunge, where maybe you stay, maybe you add the twist, dropping the left hand, and this time rotating to the right. Gazing up to your right hand and breathe. And then go on and float that top hand back down, inside that ankle, and then maybe you drop to your elbows or not. And breathe. Now we'll go on and straddle that front foot so we can come into our warrior series on this side, curling the back toes under, lifting the back knee, maybe using your front knee to help you balance, coming up into crescent lunge, turning the back foot out to the side, warrior one, dropping the left arm to the back, this time right arm to the front, warrior two, and then peaceful warrior. Coming back into warrior two to reset as we go into side angle, dropping the right elbow to the right thigh, floating the back hand up. Maybe you would prefer an extended side angle, which is a little more challenging. And breathe. Coming back into warrior two, straightening out that right knee, hinging your upper body forward and dropping the right hand to the shin or the thigh, gazing down to your big toe to protect your neck in triangle pose. From here, we're going to windmill that top hand down as we turn our back foot forward, right? Lift your hips and come back either into child's pose or downward dog. And we can pedal once again. Left heel, left, right, both heels pressing down. And then both heels pressing up. This time you can hop forward, or maybe you walk forward, or even more, hop forward right into a deep squat. Lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, hands are in prayer. This is a great hip opener. Let us breathe 3 breaths here. So if you're not in this deep squat, it's okay. You can be in a forward fold. We're going to end up back in either downward dog or child's pose, whichever you prefer. On the next breath, we'll drop our hands if you're in that deep squat. Nod your chin, swing your heels out, and step back into either downward dog, or maybe you drop into your child's pose where we pedal once again. Left heel, left, right, both heels press down. Now we're going to come up to standing, so you can either hop forward or walk forward and reverse swan up with soft knees, so you flip your palms and you slowly come all the way up. Inhale and exhale, hands come over, heart center. Let us go into our balance poses. So balance pose, I like to do tree pose. So bring your hands over your heart for the first one. But this time, instead of starting on the left foot, let's start on the right foot. So maybe it's going to be a little bit harder, a little bit easier by switching it up. And then maybe you float your foot up onto the inside of that left leg. This is a time, a pose, that you can really reflect or meditate on your intention. Or if you have no intention, just be in the moment, be still, and focus. Bringing the mind, the body, and the spirit together with our breath. One more breath. Inhale, exhale, and release. Let's do some shoulder rolls to the back just to relax. Up, around, and keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. We'll move into mountain pose. Let the palms rotate forward. Separate your feet a couple of inches. Grow tall through the crown of the head, pulling your belly into your spine. And then close your eyes so you can just feel the connection of the soles of the feet to the earth. And breathe. This is where we can become more grounded by reflecting on our intention and by just connecting the soles of the feet to the earth and growing through the crown of the head. Let us breathe and mountain pose. Sometimes I think it's helpful in mountain pose to imagine that you could just zip up your thighs. So without actually bringing the thighs together, push them towards each other, lifting your heart, lifting your chin, and breathing. And continuing to grow through the crown of the head, grow tall. Inhale. On the exhale, open the eyes, float the hands into upward salute. Inhale. Exhale, bring your hands over heart center. Let's do tree pose on the other side. And I like to encourage you to change the tree form, if you will. So it's your own unique tree. Maybe you want to be a tall tree with lots of branches, lopsided fat bush. It's your tree. Go on and lift up your left heel. And then maybe you float the sole of the foot up onto the leg. Maybe you pick it up and put it on the inside thigh. Let us breathe 5 breaths here in your tree pose. Inhale on the exhale, we're going to float the hands down. We're going to move right into chair pose. So pretend there's a chair behind you. Float your arms and fingertips up towards the ceiling and sit back into that chair, maybe bar stool. Be sure you can always gaze down and see your toes. So you don't want your knees covering your toes. If your knees are covering your toes, stand up a little bit. You need to protect those knees. Pull your belly into your spine. And then bring your hands over your heart center. Maybe you can add a little bit more by rotating with me over to your left, dropping the right elbow to the left thigh, opening the arms and gazing up to that left hand and breathe. Bring the hands back into prayer, hands over the heart center. As now we rotate over to the right, this time dropping the left elbow to the right thigh, opening up. the arms nice and long and gazing up to that right hand and breathe. Bringing the hands back to prayer, hands back together. Inhale into upward salute. Forward fold all the way down to your mat and come to your hands and knees. As we move into kneeling pigeon, we're going to take our right knee forward and push your left leg as far back as you can as you wiggle that left foot to the right side of your mat. So ideally in pigeon pose, your shoulders and hips stay forward. Maybe you keep your heart lifted, maybe you drop down and just breathe. Maybe you make a pillow with one fist on top of the other. Or if you have a pillow or a block, that works just as well. Let us breathe 3 breaths in pigeon pose. On the next breath, let's lift up our heart, lift up your arms, let them come straight. Bring your knees back together, only to slide this time the left knee under your chest, pushing your right foot back as you wiggle that right foot or left foot towards the right side of your mat. Lifting your heart, maybe you stay here. This is a great stretch. I like to come down, it just feels a little more relaxing. And breathe 3 breaths here. On the next breath, let's slowly straighten out our arms, lift your heart, lift your gaze as we bring that back foot forward. And we're going to transition onto our backs. But first, let's go into a little posture stretch. Pull your knees towards your chest, sit as tall as you can, stretching those posture muscles. Take your hands behind your knees and roll past your tailbone slowly, no pressure on the tailbone. Only to lift your feet and slowly roll down one vertebra at a time, pulling the knees into the chest. Letting the feet be relaxed, just kind of shake them around. Maybe do some ankle circles in slow motion. Releasing any tension in the ankles. And then bear hugging the knees and gently rocking them side to side. And then pull your knees towards your chest. We're going to circle our knees away from each other. So push them away, down, and back together 3 times. And then we'll switch the direction of the circles. So the more relaxed your legs are as you circle your knees around, the more synovial fluid that will be released from the hip joint, and the easier your legs, your hips, and your back will move. Let's switch directions. Go down, then open out to the sides, up and back together. And on this last one, the third one, we're going to go into happy baby, pulling the left knee to the left armpit and the right knee to the right. This is modified. If you want more, you can float your toes up over your knees and grab hold of your big toes. Maybe even straighten your legs so it's all where it feels good for you. And then we'll just bring our legs up the wall. When your legs are up the wall, you can just rest your arms down on the mat so your legs are weightless while your body is grounded. We can close our eyes as we're going to begin to go into Savasana. The most important part of our practice, total relaxation. So maybe for you, keeping your legs at the wall is the most relaxing pose for you. Or maybe you float your feet down and let the soles of the feet come together while the knees fall away from each other. Or maybe you just straighten your legs. Find that pose that is most comfortable for you as you totally relax your mind, your body, your breath, and your spirit. Maybe reflecting on your intention. Maybe just being in the moment. With your eyes closed, let us just breathe. I like to go into that purifying breath, inhaling so deep and long in through the nose that you actually feel the air go down your spine and you just lift your belly up with air. Pause, And then on the exhale, the longest exhale you have, exhale all that old air out of your body, all the negativity, all the expectations, all the yet. Just exhale it away. Let us do our purifying breath. Inhale deep. And exhale long. Inhale. And exhale. Continue to breathe that purifying breath as we open our hearts and let our hearts be filled with love today. The love that Michael talked about, that we can connect with God and just feel that love that comes from our God. And that peace and gentleness. Just open your hearts and receive that love, that kindness, that peace and gentleness. And breathe. And maybe you can take the opportunity here to think about ways that you can show other people love and gentleness and kindness and peace. One more big, long, purifying breath. Inhaling in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And returning to normal breath. In through the nose and out through the nose. As we slowly make our way back up to a seated position, the way we began our practice today, to lift up a time for prayer requests so we can pray for each other in the spirit. Whatever your spirituality is, prayer is powerful. Let us pray for each other. You can jot down your prayer request in the comment section, and Pastor Michael has a prayer team that we can pray for you through the week. Or maybe you just yell it out in the room where you are. Or maybe you just yell it silently. Let us close our eyes, go to God, and lift up our prayer request. Inhale, and on the exhale, returning to normal breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Open your eyes. Let's take our arms out long with our palms up. As we close our practice, inhale, hands over heart center, and namaste. I think Pastor Michael will close us with the Lord's Prayer.
Namaste and shalom, everyone. Hey, everybody, can we give it up for Karen with some social media love, some likes, some love, some thumbs up? Thank you so much, Karen, for giving your time to lead us in this way. You're such a blessing to so many people. So I'm going to close our time with the Lord's Prayer. Don't be intimidated by this. It's kind of, I like to call it the family prayer. It's like the universal prayer of humanity that Jesus taught his disciples. But, we also pray it in recovery groups and secular places, so-called, and everywhere else all over the world. So if you're comfortable, you can join in with me on this wherever you are, at home or at work, and pray this prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Amen. Hey, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.